Hey everybody, I am John Barker, and in this episode of Here to Record Show and Tell, we're going to take a look at how to use a Decimator DMON-QUAD to get a picture-in-picture effect for your ATEM. Now of course you can do picture-in-picture in your ATEM, but for someone just like me who wants to get a little more customization from a ATEM Television Studio HD, then this is the device just for you. But first up, let's take a look around the item itself. On this side you have 4 SDI inputs and an SDI output. Then on the other side you have HDMI output as well as power and USB for control. Up on the front you have some buttons and a screen so that you can control the device, or you can use the USB interface for this instead. This device is designed for multi-view, so you can show up to 4 inputs on one big screen, but its flexibility makes it perfect for use with picture-in-picture. We're going to be showing how to make something like this, a 2-camera picture-in-picture with custom background image. You can go much further than that, but this is something that we wanted to create. So first up, we take the aux out from our ATEM and add that to source 1. We put our speaker's presentation or laptop on source 2, and then we put a feed from our main camera in source 3. In the software, we can make source 1, which is the aux from the ATEM, full screen, and that will give a nice full screen background image. Then we move source 2 over to the left hand side and source 3 over to the right. Of course it's up to you to move things around as you wish, but this is the way we wanted to do it. You do need to make sure that you get 16:9 ratios on all of your sources, or else some weird little pixel lines start to show up. So just make sure the calculations are correct. And while the DMON-QUAD does have some nice features like audio meters, labels and stuff, we took those off for this example because we don't want to see any of that stuff. Over in Photoshop, we threw together this background image and then we added that to the ATEM on Media Player 1. We can set the aux output to Media Player 1 and you can see this show up full screen in my picture-in-picture view. And then I connect my other 2 sources, the presenter's laptop and the presenter's headshot, and you can see it shows up really nice on the picture-in-picture view. I've used the SDI output from the DMON-QUAD and put that into my ATEM, so it's sort of like a source of its own. And then I've renamed that so it shows up as one of my input sources. I can preview and program the full picture-in-picture. This also means I can use one of the buttons on the front of my ATEM to preview the picture-in-picture, and then I can cut and just take it live whenever I want to. And there are of course a bunch of different things you can do. You can make the screens bigger or smaller, you can put logos in the background, or whatever way you want to make your picture-in-picture look. There are a few pros and a few cons of course with this setup, so you'll have to weigh up the options yourself and see if it's something you actually want. One of the major pros is really price. Your ATEM can do a simple picture-in-picture and it can be moved around, it can be moved into a square, it can be pretty flexible, but if you want to do something like what we've just shown, you really need to go for a 2ME switcher, which means spending a lot of money and using SuperSource as they call it. This small device is a much cheaper way of doing close to the same thing. SuperSource has so many features that this doesn't even come close to. But if you're looking for a 2-camera kind of picture-in-picture side-by-side with a nice image in the background, then for the money, for the price that you'll save buying a device like this, it is definitely worth it. And in our case, it's definitely worth it. Another nice thing is that it's customizable and tweakable on the fly. So in the USB control, you can jump in there and you can set up presets, and then you can jump between them as you wish during your production. For us, we like that it's sitting there as one of our input sources, and we can just cut straight to it whenever we want to. It seems pretty fast and nice in that way. Now, a couple of the cons, of course, is that all of your inputs will terminate at this device. So if you plug a camera straight into it, there's no loop out back into your ATEM. So for our headshot of the presenter, if we plugged our camera straight into this device, then we wouldn't be able to put it in our ATEM. A way around that for us is that we do HDMI to SDI conversions on each of our cameras, and we have 2 SDI outputs. One can go to the DMON-QUAD and the other into the ATEM. But it's something to keep in mind. If you have SDI cameras, then you will need some sort of splitter of some way to get it into both devices. Of course, audio and video sync is an issue. In our testing, we saw about 1 frame of delay added through this whole setup. In general, our ATEM is probably 1 to 2 frames delayed for audio and video sync. So if this adds another frame, it's something that's going to be hard to fix in post, because all of your normal ATEM cameras will be, let's say, 1 frame out, and then when you switch to the DMON picture-in-picture, now you're 2 frames out. So you can't really just jump into your editor and fix those frames whenever you're editing your final videos. So for us, an extra frame of delay is not show-stopping, and it's worth that small con to get this whole picture-in-picture look. But for you, if you're doing something that needs, you know, complete accuracy and you want it to be dead on, then this might not be the way to do it. We would prefer, of course, to have everything perfectly in sync, but an extra frame of delay is definitely something we can live with. And the final major con I would say of this setup is that it does use your auxiliary output. Now, the reason we go this way is that we can put an image straight into the box and put it full screen in the background. But that does use our auxiliary output and our media player 1. If you use your auxiliary output for a few other things or something else, then this might not be the way for you to do it. You might need to use a laptop with a HDMI output to SDI into the box. So it does get pretty complex. Overall, this whole thing is a little complex, sure. Extra cables that you need and an extra device. I guess it's just something, if you don't use your auxiliary already, then it won't matter to you to lose it this way. But if you do, then this might again not be quite the thing for you. And that just leaves price. For this box, it comes in around £240, not much more in euros, and close to $300. So like I said before, your ATEM plus this device would be much cheaper than an ATEM 2ME. Obviously the features are not quite the same, but for our setup, we want to bring in this nice double camera picture-in-picture every once in a while for the odd conference that we do. So it doesn't make sense for us to buy a 2ME whenever we don't need those features all the time. In this case, this is just a use it when we need it kind of thing, and the price itself isn't a huge blocker for us. So that's the device. I hope you find this useful. Let me know if you have any questions or comments in the comments below, because there are a few things that I might not have mentioned, and there are a few little snags with this, but I think that for the overall finished look, it's worth it. And if a client wants that kind of look and your ATEM doesn't allow for it, then this is the perfect device to slip in and use instead. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.